And we are back on the Chosen Life podcast. Ranen of Soul Reviver. This man revives souls, not just the soul in our hearts, but the ones on our feet. I'm Jonathan, of course. And Ranen, man, I was thinking you were looking over at the showroom the other day and we are talking about it. And one pair you noticed right away was the off-white UNCs, right?
Of course.
The off-white UNCs. I remember when I ordered those. I was telling you the story off air, but I ordered them before they were available in the stores. So these were on pre-sale. Picked them up at the time. I'd like to say $700, $750. Imagine they're not even in the store yet. Pay way below what they ended up going for, and they arrive before they even were in the stores. So now they're here. I'm gonna go downtown Toronto. So how am I gonna put these shoes on? So you put on a pair of slides. You keep the shoes in the box. You drive because you don't want to be driving and creasing the shoes, right? Then you pull up in the car in the parking lot. Then you switch from the slides to the sneakers, and then you start walking down the street. Those are the only pair of shoes I remember people actually stopped in traffic.
Yeah.
Got out of their car to take pictures of me in the shoes. It was that crazy. Like, do you remember back when Virgil was alive?
Yeah.
Off-white collabs, and they started first with the Chicago, then the UNCs. Besides the Dior's, I'd say that's what was really putting Jordan 1s on the map.
I definitely agree. I think that when the off-whites came out, they skyrocketed, and here we got it for $750. I'm pretty sure for right now they still go for more than that.
They're
like for a brand new,
probably $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah,
give or take. Yeah,
exactly. So it's definitely like held its value till this day, and
should have bought all of them.
I didn't even know, like, when they were coming out, I always thought, okay, yes, this looked cool, but I never actually grabbed a personal pair for myself, and I just started seeing it go crazy prices, and I was like, this is wild. I didn't see Jordan before that time. Jordans weren't going up that much in price when I think it was like 2020 when the Last Dance movie came out on Netflix, and that's when the price of Jordan 1 started going through the roof. But even the year before that, you were able to get any Jordan 1 sitting on the shelves, and now that's history.
Those off-whites, though, it's funny, they have a weird look to them. But people don't, I think, realize they are so comfortable. Virgil made them with different materials. When you slip in, you actually feel how soft they are. He did a really good job with them. They actually are incredible. They are the best Jordan 1 for actual comfort level, all kidding aside. And had he stayed alive, I don't know where the collabs would have gone. I think they were thinking of doing a shattered as well. There was rumors of a shattered off-white coming. Yeah. But where he went with LV, he started taking the sneakers in a whole different direction. I wasn't a fan, to be honest. I know he went for like the loud street look, but he was going away from the simplicity of the Jordan 1, and the simplicity of an Air Force 1. And who knows where he would have gone with them. But man, the off-white was definitely where it was. And even today, I regret not buying a pair of Chicago's. But apparently the Chicagos were falling apart quite easily compared to the UNC's. The first batch.
Oh, yeah. Quality-wise,
the first ones that were made for the off-white collab was the Chicago. The Chicago did not hold up very well. Apparently the UNC's held up a lot better. That being said, if I was able to get a pair of Chicagos, I would have done it. Before I went to SneakerCon 1 in New York, I was about to buy a pair of Chicagos for $1,000.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm going to SneakerCon. There's going to be so much stuff there. I should have bought the Chicago. Should just not even gone to SneakerCon, gone to Chicago, got the Chicagos. But this is a part of the sneaker collection. Sometimes you do really well with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you say, man, the one that got away.
Yeah. I hear you on that.
You have the ones that got away?
I bring it up every time, and it's the Yeezys for me, because back then, like, they were $300 retail. One, I thought, oh, that's crazy, $300. I'm not paying $300. I had opportunities to go line up. I had opportunities to go raffle, even if I wanted to raffle it and sell it later. And I just said, I'd rather hold on to $300. I can get it later. Here we are now. Can't find a pair.
And probably not gonna happen. Funniest person or situation you ever bought shoes from?
Oh, funniest or interesting? Sorry, you said
both.
There's a lot of people out there in the world. I'll say that.
How many people have you found on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji that are Foot Locker or Champs employees, and they're like, "Don't say anything"?
I've definitely had a few of those. Yeah.
All the time. And those are the worst connects, by the way, because you get their number and you're like, listen, Jordan 1, high OG, size 10. As soon as they come out, can you hook me up? Oh yeah, I got you. The words "I got you" are the kiss of death, because "I got you" has never got you one pair of shoes. As soon as they say "I got you," they disappear.
The day of the release, no response.
They're gone. They're just gone. I don't know what it is about Foot Locker, but I think the whole image of working there, and they get drunk on power because they control the shoes, and they're all gone.
I have to say, the most interesting individual, I guess, that I ever met. I bought a pair of, I think they're 2001 Bread 11s.
Yes.
So one, it's like, where did you even get this shoe? He tried to glue it with this yellow gunk. I don't know what it was. It was a type of adhesive, and they were like, the pictures looked relatively good, and then I get there in person, the thing's like falling apart 3 different ways, and I'm looking at the guy, and he's like in this black trench coat, nail polish, like long hair, and I'm just there, and I was like probably like 15, 16 at the time, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, this doesn't look like the photos, man. Like the 3 pieces, the carbon fiber sticking out, and I think he was selling it for like $100, which is still a good price. And he's just like, yeah, this is what they are. And I had to take my chance. A complete stranger, I said, can you do like $20 for them? And I just saw the look in his eyes stare into my soul, and he said, yeah, sure, it's fine. And I got a pair of that for $20.
You get sometimes bargains that way. I remember the Spider-Mans when they came out, the Jordan 1 High OG Spider-Mans.
Yes.
So I found a guy, and at the time they just came out, and I'm like, are these real? They're not real. And I met the guy at church. So he led the choir at the church. So he met me out back after choir practice and sold it to me on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's heading up a choir at the church. Pretty sure this is going to be real. We're good to go. It was the funniest one was this kid over at SneakerCon Toronto, first SneakerCon I go to. And as I'm about to leave, they're walking around the pit, right? So you got all the vendors at SneakerCon, but then you got the pit where the individual sellers are. And he's got a pair of red bottoms. And he's got the black, spiky red bottoms. And he's holding them with the bag and everything. And I never had a pair of red bottoms. And I don't even know what my size is. So I go and try on his pair, and they fit me. I'm like, oh man, my feet are so weird. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a 41 or whatever I am here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how much you want for them? And he's like, I want like, I don't know, 300 or something, right? I'm like, I'll do 200. And he's like, no, I can't do them, man. They're my red bottoms. I can't do them. And I'm like, what? And I'm looking at this kid, like, where do you have like red bottoms? He's like, man, I've been saving up, and like I wore them pretty good. I'm like, yeah, these are pretty beat up. So I count the money. I take $200. I put the $200 in his hand. I close his hand. I take his hand away, and I take his shoes. I'm like, we're good, right? And I left.
You got it for $200.
He was just standing there kind of stunned.
So you got it for $200.
Maybe I stole them. I don't really know now, to be honest. He didn't quite say yes, but he took the money.
Wait, so and the Spider-Mans around.
Spider-Man's like, he sold me for retail. He was cool.
Okay, they're real, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were real. They were fine with the Spider-Mans. But like, man, some of the best deals I ever got were at the pit in SneakerCon. Like, but you gotta be really patient with it. You got people that are sitting in the pit and they're sitting there camping all day, and there's people walking around the pit. They got the box, they got the one shoe out.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's like something about though, like New York versus Toronto. In New York, people are so more realistic about their prices. In Toronto, I don't know what it is about Toronto.
Yeah.
But people think their stuff is worth double than anywhere else.
I hear that. I think in the States, the used sneaker market is way less than compared what it is in Toronto. I guess also taking into account that, 20 USD versus our 20 here, it's a little lower. But still, I think that even though I'm looking at the States, like the used sneakers they have, it's relatively reasonable pricing. And here you have these, beat up Bread 4s going for like $300. It's like, you're out of your mind, man.
So now let's help people. You want to help people today?
Of course,
I'd
always.
like to help them. So, you buy your iPhone, right?
Yeah.
And it gives you that little pin thing where you can poke it in to get your SIM card. That thing has another purpose. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, what's the other purpose?
That's how you get your pebbles out of the bottom of your shoes. So I tried everything. I tried every butter knife. I tried every possible, the ends of a fork. Nothing was getting the little pebbles out without scratching up the shoe. use the little pin SIM card thing from the Apple phone, and that's how I started getting all my little rocks out from underneath my
Good to
shoe.
know.
So basically, I'd be sitting with my SIM thing, and I'd be sitting with my baby wipes, unscented, of course, and that's how I'd be cleaning off my sneakers. So this works up to a certain amount of time, but sometimes you buy sneakers that are very abused. Otherwise, you wear them as your winter beaters,
Yeah.
or you went, I don't know, to the cottage one weekend and it was freaking muddy, and sneakers get destroyed and abused. From the time I bring you an abused sneaker to the time they come wrapped like this, what's the process, man? Like, what's the secrets of how to get shoes this beautiful?
So it really depends on what needs to be done to the sneaker. You know, you can have things that are sneakers that are falling apart to like 3-4 pieces. You can have something that's, you know, just a simple clean. I say simple clean, but there's a lot of things that go into it, different types of materials. Suede cleaning, completely different from, you know, leather cleaning. Even before it even gets to that point, I always tell people, wear your shoes. I wear my shoes. Spray protector on it. Like putting that simple protector before you go out saves you the time and effort and energy when it comes to cleaning. It's so much easier to come it off. Dirt comes so much easier when you use a protector, basically.
But like when I send you pictures, I send you each shoe, and I send you like 5 pictures of each shoe.
Yeah.
How are you able to assess so well to know what's wrong with them and the work to be done?
So, you know, the people we have that are trained on the Instagram DMs, you know, when you send us pictures, we kind of see, okay, what material is there? What, you know, if it's anything like rubber that turns yellow, that's something that, you know, we can whiten up. If it's suede, you can see that it turned a little bit shiny. That's something that, you know, we'd be able to brush back out. And the team's there to assess what's wrong with your sneaker and then let you know, okay, this is what we would do to bring it back to its, you know, best condition as possible.
So even like a typical shoe, like, so shoelaces come out, everything comes out to redo them in most cases?
For most of the part, really dirty laces, sometimes you have to get them, you know, redone. But if it's something like, you know, a certain type of green color or a certain type of yellow lace, then yes, we're going to do our best to make sure that they're washed. But, you know, if it's like white laces, sometimes you have to replace them. But we try to keep all original parts as best as possible.
So is there a secret of washing laces, for example, just in the washing machine, normal detergent, or do you hand scrub them? Like what?
So for shoelaces, even for shoes in general, we work closely with Walter Shoe Care, and they're a Canadian company, and we work closely with them. We use like they have a suede cleaner, they have, you know, a gel cleaner. The gel cleaner works nice. You can even scrub the gel cleaner directly on the laces on the shoe, and that takes out the dirts right there too.
So you go from a sneaker collector and lover to a shoe reviver, stole reviver. What would possess you to want to do this? Like, you know, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of aggravation, it's a lot of fine work. Like, where did you get the inspiration saying, hey man, I want to bring people's shoes back to life?
So that was back in, I want to say around like 2010, 2011. And again, like we were talking about last time, you know, my first pair of shoes were the Oreos. And I'm telling you, I beat those shoes to the ground. Like the heel drag was all the way to the midsole. Leather was cracking. The suede was chipping off on those. And, you know, I didn't realize how bad the condition was getting. I kept wearing it every day until, you know, someone comes up to me and goes, hey, like your shoes are looking really bad. You know, it's high school. And, you know, someone said that to me and I was like, I looked at my feet. I'm like, are they that bad? These are my favorite shoes, you know? And that's when I tried to, you know, let me put some paint on here. It wasn't the best restoration, I'll say that, but it looked way cleaner than it was. And then I go back to school the next day and the same guy's like, whoa, man, what'd you do to your shoes? I'm like, well, you said they were like dirty, so I cleaned them. And he's like, oh, that, you know, it's not bad. That's pretty good. And that was one of my first restorations. And I did it back on that same year. I got a pair of white cement 3s. Those ones was my first midsole repaints, and I wore those two also to the ground, snow, rain, everything. The paint started cracking on the sneaker. Again, I didn't notice, and then later down the road, I started to see like it looked horrible. It looked super dirty. It was cracking, and back then I didn't even peel off, you know, how you're supposed to paint. Like when you're painting a car or even like painting the walls of your house, you take off the full layer of paint, then you apply, you know, the new layer. I didn't do that back in the day. I didn't know. I just, you know, slapped it on and I thought it was good to go. it looked good, you know, at the time, but when you start to wear it, it looks completely different. But that's kind of how I started restoring sneakers. I was doing it to my own shoes, and a lot of people in high school would see me, you know, with these beat up shoes and then bring it back to life, and they would ask me like, how did you do that? Like, I have a pair of shoes that I want to do. I'm like, yeah, here, I could do it for you. But that's kind of how we started.
How do you match up like paint colors? So like you got the leather, you got like different shades of red, different shades of blue. Like how do you match it up?
So that one's a little bit crazy, because people always ask in the DMs like, you know, what did you mix for this color? And we try to respond like, honestly, I couldn't tell you, because everything that we do when it comes to, you know, matching the red or matching the blue, you can have like a certain type of blue for, let's say, your royal ones, right? But you wear it for 5-6 years, it's not going to be the exact same royal blue that even, you know, Angelus paint. Credits to them, because they actually give you all the Nike colors already. That's already pre-made. But you have a royal one that's brand new, that's going to match the royal one that's brand new. But you have a shoe that you wore in the sun for 6 years, it's not going to be the same type of blue that it was in the store. So that's when you have to eyeball it, like literally just add a, you know, whether it's a bit of yellow,
Yes.
or, you know, a bit of, you know, white or green. And sometimes it's a crazy color that you don't even think of. It's like, okay, this needed a little bit of purple. But color matching does take a little bit more trial and error, I would say. And from there, then you kind of memorize, okay, when it comes to, you know, royal ones, you need a little bit of, you know, yellow, or you need a purple. White cement fours, you need a little bit of, you know, same thing of yellow in that gray. But it's really color matching and trial and error.
Now, how do you also put together a paint that it's not just going to hold up for one wear? You know, like you see often, like, you know, anything that gets repainted, like rims on a car, for example, looks great, and then it scuffs in one drive, you know? How do you pick your paint qualities so that it's going to last through people's wears?
So for one, Angelus Direct is where we get our paint on. Collective Spadina, actually, specifically in downtown Toronto.
Okay.
We actually get their Angelus leather paint products, which are made specifically for the Jordans. When you're like, we're midsole repaints or any leathers, you have to remove the paint first. That's what gets the paint to stick. If you're just painting it over, it's not going to stay. So there's like a primer that you can take off the paint it over, and when you're done painting it, you're not done just yet. You got to put a finisher on it. So that finisher also protects it from, you know, further scuff marks or peeling off. But it's really going with the right products for one, and taking your time to do the restorations.
Yeah, and that's where it's tough. Like, you know, if you're any kind of collector, if it's a watch collector, a car collector, a sneaker collector, it's having the original versus having it redone.
Yeah.
But the thing with sneakers is once they're worn down and everything, as soon as you took the tag off and you wore it once, it's worn already, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't think when you're restoring a shoe, you're doing it necessarily for value. You're doing it for your appearance and to enjoy them while you're wearing. Because I think if you're doing it for value wise, you're probably not going to restore them necessarily.
Exactly. It's more, at least for myself, when I was restoring, it was more for the love of the sneaker game, and, you know, trying to get those shoes that you can't necessarily re-buy again.
Now, for someone like me that gets, let's say, sneakers redone like this, and they're sitting in the sealed wrap like that, part of me that just wants to put them on display like this and never take them out of the wrapping.
I hear you.
What is the purpose of the wrapping, and how tough is it for people to open them up and rewear them again after you've worked on them?
I think that's a mental game, you know, trying to reopen it again. But they're pretty easy to open up. But the whole reason why we wrap them is for transport. And also looks, you know, way cleaner when it gets delivered to you. And it kind of also, when it's wrapped up there, we want you guys to be able to look at the shoe and just like, wow, like this is the same shoe that I sent in that I couldn't wear before. And you get that feeling again, you know, reopening it of, you know, this is my brand new shoe.
Your own collection, like, you don't clean them after everywhere and re-wrap them, do you?
There are certain sneakers, for one, that I don't touch at all.
Okay.
And those ones are, you know, all wrapped up, and I just look at them in the box. I'll take them out once to get some air.
Yeah.
And then I have a set of, you know, personal shoes that I just beat to the ground.
Man, I've heard so many schools of thought on this. Do you keep them in the box? Do you keep them in the closet? Do you put them out? Like, everybody has a different theory on that.
Yeah.
If you take your average pair, keep them out all the time, obviously dust.
Yeah.
But what is the advantage of keep them wrapped or in the box versus keep them out all the time?
So the best method of keeping your shoes, like, you actually have to wear them. Like, even if you wear it just once a month, or even if you wear it twice a month, it's better than leaving that same shoe in the box for 5 years. It'll last longer. The glue won't expire because it's getting exposed to, all these things like air, sun, oxygen, versus, keeping in the box. If you are going to keep in the box, things like, putting a Ziploc bag or, some silicone packets, even, getting it wrapped, that helps it last longer. But the real way of getting your sneakers to last, relatively forever is you have to wear them.
Just gotta wear them.
Yeah, you have to wear them.
Man, and the silicone packets, do people put them only in the silicone packets when they're in the box in the closet or when they have them out also?
So you can put it like in a Ziploc bag,
Yeah.
and then put a silicone packet in the box itself. That way it still keeps it dry, but you have it Ziplocked anyways.
And I've read a couple places, I don't know if it's a myth or not, saying that if you put them in the Ziploc, you're suffocating the air and they're more likely going to crack.
Yeah.
Oh, it's making me crazy, man. It's
Yeah.
like, whenever you collect anything,
Yeah.
it's like if you have a car and you have a summer car and you're going to store the car, okay, I say put it on blocks. I say drive it once a week, once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Take the battery, like discharge the battery. And it's like everybody has this theory on how to take care of a product.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it that way, they try to scare you that like it's gonna go really bad.
Yeah.
And man, you could just like it can make you crazy.
Yeah. There's so many things that you could read online, so many things that people say that are, different. But overall, you want your sneakers to last, wear your shoes.
It's gonna be a good segue for next week. Shall we present a good surprise for everyone for next week?
Yeah, of course. What do you got?
The surprise? Okay, well everybody will have to wait till next week. We got the shoe, and we're gonna discuss the shoe next week. We're gonna blow your mind. You're not gonna want to miss this one. This is the shoe you all gonna want to talk about. So, Soul Reviver, Ranen, Jonathan, be back next week. Chosen Life Podcast.